Do you ever trade dogs?
Dogs. Yeah. No, I don't. But we're going to talk about trading dogs today and cryptocurrency.
So doggies, not dogs.
That's right, doggy or doji as some of the people are known.
So we're going to talk about cryptocurrency and what's going on with Dogecoin. So you want to watch this one to get the scoop. Steve.
Hey, Steve, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
Let's rock and roll.
A little bit of different studio setup.
Yeah, tell us how you like the world behind us. We're actually in a secret studio tonight. We've been doxxed in R7. Yeah.
It's a good thing we weren't outside because your neighbor is mowing now.
That's true. That's a good point. Wait a minute. I just said we were in a secret location, Steve.
Oh.
Hey, I'm Steve Wastenberg.
And I'm Steve Walsh.
And welcome to the Steve and Steve Show.
Thanks for finding us and push and play. If you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. And if you like what we're saying, make sure you hit that like button. It certainly helps our numbers, and our subscription numbers go up, which gets more of our message out to the folks. And if you're the first time you're watching us, what we do is we talk about things that we normally would talk about over a cup of coffee or a couple beers,
liquor.
And we thought that we'd share that wisdom and knowledge in our discussions with the world. So I hope you enjoy.
And today, it's cryptocurrency. Dun, 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 dun.
So in order for us to have that conversation, we need to have a drink.
That's right. We're having some wild cider, Steve. Again, we don't really promote anything, but I really liked the way I don't actually drink wild cider, but this one said, be hoppy. Like, be hoppy. I kind of like that.
Be hoppy.
That is.
So it's not a paid endorsement.
It's not.
All right, so Steve, you said cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency. Right? So we're hearing a lot of buzz in cryptocurrency. So is there a subtopic to cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, I thought, is this real? You know, we've done some videos on it, and obviously both you and I have some serious interest in cryptocurrency. But man, it's starting to get like, the Wild West changing to some people coming in and homesteading, and now, I don't know, what do you think? Do you think that cryptocurrency is here to stay, Steve?
I guess. I mean, there's a lot out there, right? It's almost becoming a sub stock market type thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's a different way of people trading items. It could be, money based, but it's also you're buying shares into certain companies as well. So it's like a crypto classification of trading.
Right. Yeah, so, I've got very strong opinions about it. You know that, and I talk about it a fair amount. But I do have to ask the question that is kind of been trending out here. Everybody, a drum roll.
I have to say, there's a reason why I don't drink cider beer.
Let's see. Oh, wow. Why don't I just have some vinegar? Apple cider vinegar, right? That's delicious. I'll bet you it's good for us, though. Dogecoin, or as some people call it, Dogecoin, right?
Yeah.
Is this a real thing for you?
I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you.
You should have asked that question to me then.
Yeah. well, it's certainly a topic, and people are. I just had a discussion this week with some folks, and they asked me about it. And
Did they really?
And I don't know enough, other than that it's something that people are talking about, right? And there's Mark Cuban's talking about it, and there's people that are
Elon Musk tweets about it.
Some well-known celebrity type folks are talking about it, and so I think that's kind of like I think people are jumping in from a FOMO, fear of missing out, type thing. If I remember correctly, one of the times that we did discuss cryptocurrency, and I don't know if we did it on the camera, if it was just one of our side conversations that we had, but you told me that this cryptocurrency, this coin, started out as a kind of a joke.
It was definitely a joke.
So, but
the
now,
founder, actually, one of the co-founders of Dogecoin or Dogecoin, I like to call it Dogecoin because it is an Shinaitsu, or the dog is
Shinibibu or something.
Yeah, it's a Japanese like dog that is then of course everybody just loves the dear little dog that is its icon, But the co-founder doesn't own any Dogecoin anymore. None. No, he's out completely. And it was a joke based on all the craziness of the crypto world that was happening. And they said, well, let's create this. It is actually a protocol that is, or it's a currency that's pretty quick. The blockchain itself is pretty quick for doing the transactions. And there are a number of charitable places, organizations that are accepting it. So there's some hype around that where, hey, we can use this as a means of giving to a charity. But let's face it, if this thing is as speculative as I believe it is, I mean, to give you a few quick little stats, one of the owners of Dogecoin, or the collectors or whatever you want to call it, owns 11% of all outstanding Dogecoin. 46% is owned by 11 people or entities, meaning that almost half of the Dogecoins in existence are owned by 11 people. You want to talk about the 1%ers? I mean, that's a little bit scary. So if somebody decides that they're going to be dumping, or what if they kind of quietly talk between it, because they probably know each other. I've actually heard that like 90+% of all the Dogecoins are in the hands of 100 people, and the rest are the rest.
When you print it in that terms of 100 people, it's so many
million.
Racketeering.
That too.
Right?
Yeah.
But it started as a joke. So is it so?
It's number 4. There's about 7,000 or more cryptocurrencies in the world. There are new ones come up every single day, but there's about 7,000 or so in the time of this recording. It is number 4 in terms of volume traded right now.
Volume trading. Things are changing.
Behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance Coin.
Okay, so you talk about centralized, decentralized. So is Dogecoin centralized?
Yeah, I'm going to say it is, even though probably somebody's going to say that, there's miners out there to make it. Let's face it.
Okay.
Even if it's got a decentralized side to it, when you have that concentration,
right?
It sure is flying in the face of a kind of a democratized currency, because these are, let's say the 11 people that have 46% say, hey, we need to sell quietly. So what's going to happen? Today, for example, it dumped from 71 down to 60. Now, as we're recording this, Elon Musk is going to speak on Saturday Night Live. He's going to be on Saturday Night Live.
So it's 60 cents now.
60 cents, yeah.
Because yesterday when I kind of quickly did a quick look at it, it was just under, it was like 50 something.
50, yeah.
Right, 58, I think is what I remember. So it went up.
Well, it went up last night. It was up to 71.
Okay, and I've heard that people are expecting it to hit $1. Right,
yeah, I mean, who knows?
Right, and we don't know, and it could. The thing is there's a lot of questions about this one and how it's getting manipulated. But I just find it interesting that people are just jumping. It's almost like Beanie Babies.
That is exactly what I was going to say. It is like Beanie Babies. Now, in the crypto world, we had something a few years back, 3-4 years back, called Crypto Kitties, which was actually the first non-fungible tokens that were out there.
When you say fungible.
Well, the difference between a fungible token and a non-fungible token might be if I take a picture of you, Steve, and digitize it as a token and tokenize it, that would be non-fungible. That means that picture was a moment in time taken of you, and it's not going to change. All right? Whereas if it's a Bitcoin, which is a fungible token, I can change that and break it down into 20,000 sats. I can break it down into dollars. It's changeable. It's fractionalized. Yeah, I guess is what you could say. Whereas a fungible token is talking about a specific event thing.
There's only so many.
Exactly, and it's limited in terms of what it is. So has been somewhat all the rage here. A Dogecoin is not it is a fungible token. It's not a non-fungible token. But a picture of that doggy that gets thrown out into as an NFT.
Well, I think it's a fad, right? A fear of missing out.
Exactly.
We had, when the folks on Reddit did their squeeze on GameStop.
Yep.
GameStop became a fad. People jumped in just to take part in the swing type thing, right?
Yep.
And I look at this one as very similar. If you're telling me that when we're making these investments in cryptocurrencies, we want the decentralized currency like Bitcoin versus some of these other ones that are out there that are controlled by either some corporation or a bank or even a government. Those are centralized, so they can be manipulated and somehow or rules applied to it. And this Dogecoin is, I would assume it's centralized. We're not 100% sure, but because it was a joke when they created it, it kind of sounds like it's centralized, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is a project, and so the challenge in this is unfortunately something, we've had in the early days of Bitcoin, you had what was called the Silk Road that gave it a bad name because, people were using Bitcoin to buy drugs and all kinds of illicit kinds of stuff, right? That was on the Silk Road. And so it kind of got a tainted name as, Bitcoin, that's the dark money kind of thing.
There's still, and that's still kind of, I think there's still some of that with Bitcoin, right?
It is, but you and I know,
right?
The vast majority of that.
Well, it's these bigger entities that are trying to control Bitcoin, right? By saying, you can't trade that here in our country, you can't use that here in our business, you can't use that in our bank, and you can't use it in retirement funds. And so they're trying to control it in that aspect, right? Putting rules around it, or rules that you can't use it in our playground. And to me, Dogecoin is different in an aspect. It's like people are prompting it up, and I think there can be some control there, especially with only 100 people owning a good portion of the funds. That they don't need all 100 to agree, but they can get a majority of them to agree and manipulate the situation.
And frankly, that's my point. That this is kind of it's considered a meme coin, and a meme is something that trends on social media, and because of that trending, a bunch of retail investors that are able to get it on Robinhood or somewhere else will throw $100. Well, if you have 1 million people throwing $100 at it, that's $100 million. If you have 100 million people, I can't remember, Robinhood I think has about 100 million now, and they're throwing, you got a lot of money basically that can go into it. Now my point is, what happens is, kind of like cryptocurrencies, kind of like the dark money that Bitcoin was considered back in the day, a Dogecoin kind of thing kind of taints what real cryptocurrency, what the real original, Bitcoin as a decentralized, trustless, currency that is not very easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And it's just one more, say, that's just those crypto. So the mainstream media goes out and says how this is a joke.
So we got to make sure we're not being one of those.
We're not
mainstream media by saying it's a joke, because it really truly started out as a joke that the guy said.
That one is, yeah.
Now what we established that it's completely different than Bitcoin, because we know Bitcoin is decentralized.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Bitcoin is much harder to manipulate, although we do kind of see that manipulation when a country says you can't trade.
Yep.
But when you put money into Bitcoin, and not necessarily money, but U.S. currency into Bitcoin, you're doing it from an investment standpoint.
I am doing it from the standpoint of a store of value. I am looking for something that I want that will be a strong, hard money store of value.
Right. So that's that would
investment.
be a category of investment, a reason why you're investing. Right.
Like real estate.
Now, when you go to Dogecoin, speculation, which is more like gambling, right? It's more like
I think so.
buying $100 worth of lottery tickets.
Yeah.
With some speculation that one of those tickets out of the 100 that you bought, the value of those is going to end up being more than that $100.
Yes, although I might compare it a little more with maybe the
slot machine.
No, maybe the roulette. Roulette, and where you're betting on black or red. So if you bet on black or red, you got kind of a 50-50 chance of something.
And then it hits a green?
No, but I mean then it hits a green. So it isn't 50-50 actually. But what I'm saying is that if you're in the flowing river of the real momentum of Dogecoin, it's not quite like the lottery where you're pretty guaranteed to be donating your money, right? You're not going to win something. Whereas with the Dogecoin, if you do get in and you time it, right, you might get a double, triple, or many more because there's a whole bunch. You got in first, and you got out at the time when you were able to turn something. But as a long-term investment or even a medium term or even a shorter term, no, for me, something like a Dogecoin would be a total speculative trade.
So
I don't have.
So kind of a recommendation if somebody was going to do Dogecoin, we're not recommending Dogecoin, but if they were going to do that, the recommendation would be make sure it's money you can lose.
Yeah, and of course, this isn't financial advice or anything, but yeah, in any kind of an investment, you want to manage your risk. And in something that is as speculative as something like Dogecoin, you got to be ready to lose whatever it is that you're putting into it. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't go mortgage the farm.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either. Now, I did want to maybe turn a little bit away from that, which again, my thing about this coin is, cute dog aside, unfortunately, I think it ends up painting cryptocurrency with this same kind of, Warren Buffett out there saying it's rat poison, The Dogecoin makes his narrative like, see what I mean? See, because when this Dogecoin does dump, and you got to believe it's going to really dump at some point when there's that few amount of people, right? Yeah. It's going to grow crazy too, but then you can just hear the Buffetts, the Ungers, the whoever else out there is going to say, see, that's what all of this cryptocurrency is.
But we have to look at it when you're investing in cryptocurrencies. Look at it as like the stock market. There's certain stocks that get, that hit the news, and everybody jumps in on those, right? And there's certain stocks that, especially on the penny stock side, right? They're below the penny or right around penny, and the people that do get in there hoping that if it goes, you're at a penny and it goes to 2 or 3 pennies, then
got a 300%.
That's a pretty nice percentage, right?
Yeah.
And you can get in, fairly low, right?
Yep.
So I would, even in those situations, there's some level, someone who's doing true investments, there's some level of investigation and analysis on what's there.
Do your research.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus just jumping in because it's hitting the news. And typically in an investment portfolio, if it's highly in the news as a good thing, it's probably a good time to get out.
That is, that's, they say, trade the news. Buy the rumor, trade the news.
Right. Bad news, you get in. Good news, you get out.
Yeah. And I mean, by the time the news gets out, you're probably too late. Now, let's dump off of Dogecoin for a second. And I know we'll need to wrap it up, but I look in cryptocurrencies at the projects, or in the case of Bitcoin, the white paper, in all of them in the white paper, but certainly in the case of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is really designed as a currency and really probably more likely a reserve type currency, like a gold, that might be backing other currencies, dollars, euros, etc. A project like something like people have started to hear about, Ethereum, is a full-on project that could potentially, in my opinion, be the new internet in the sense of the internet 3.0 or 4.0. because of its smart contracts and everything that blockchain as Ethereum can do. And so what I'll do is I'll look for that kind of a project, and then I'll look for projects that are kind of tied in and around that. And there's a bunch of those.
Well, and it's not just looking at their white paper, but it's also looking at other entities' white papers on that.
Yes.
Right? Because it's how they view it. If they say, hey, there's value of us using it,
yes,
then there's value there. But if no one's saying, hey, there's value over here, then it's like a product that nobody knows about.
Exactly. And maybe they'll never know about it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think when you're doing your due diligence on these things, really look into the actual project itself and see, hey, does this have, it goes back to our financial IQ thing that we've always talked about, or whatever the information IQ is. You got to go in and do some of your studies, or you can just bet on the doggy.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I haven't done that kind of stuff.
I think the point of what we were trying to say here is that there's some stuff out there in the cryptocurrency arena that are questionable. I think Dogecoin, whatever it's called, it is one of those questionable things. What is it real, or is it a fad where celebrities are pumping it up,
or is it going to turn out to be a dog?
Yeah,
and that dog don't hunt.
And are you at the point where you can catch a wave?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be catching a knife?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Or are you going to be, oh wow, the wave's there, but guess what? You got in when the wave is curling, and you're going to be slammed into the sand, right?
All right, Steve. I don't know if there's anything else to say about that.
Yeah, I definitely
do your homework.
But what we don't want to do in any way, shape, or form, do we want to say that we aren't saying investigate cryptocurrency. It's incredible. Personally, Bitcoin for me is just it's really the cat's meow against that dog. It's really an incredible store of value, in my opinion, and I am definitely like it.
Bitcoin is decentralized.
Chainlink has also done pretty darn well, hasn't it?
Bitcoin is decentralized currency, so there's some true value there. In previous discussions, we talked about Chainlink, right? So Chainlink is not a currency; it's an investment into a project or a product, right? So you have to kind of understand that. And if you don't understand that, you probably shouldn't be investing in cryptocurrency. Do some homework. There's plenty of books and plenty of blogs and white papers out there for you to do your homework, and they're easy to get to. You just have to do the work.
Or reach out to us, because we definitely are in this. Reach out to us. We're happy to point you in some directions.
Yep. Sure. All right, Steve, let's wrap this one up.
Wow, and wrap this cider vinegar up.
Yeah. Thank you for finding us and getting this far in the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe if you haven't, and hit a like, and add a comment or two in the comments, and we'd like to hear from you.
Cheers. Thanks again.